It's happening again. You're in a meeting, and the good idea fairy has just struck again. They spouted off this great new direction for everyone to follow. Your boss went with it, so now everyone is scrambling to make it happen. You know it's too ambitious, but you aren't able to pin down the words to communicate that. So you walk into your next meeting and you start talking up this idea, and now they're giving you the stink eye, and you have to motivate them to rise up to the challenge. But once again, you don't have the words. How do you do this? But by the time you get home, you're so tired and frustrated, you don't want to go to the gym. You never got around to reading that book for the book club, so you end up on a date by yourself with a TV remote. You don't have a boss problem or a work problem or even a relationship problem or a motivation problem. You have a goal problem. How do you explain a bad goal to someone if you can't write a good one for yourself? And why do the goals that you set always seem to fail? Hoi and hello, and welcome to Prison Coaching, where we talk openly and honestly about the things that keep us from being our best. I'm Jennifer, a certified and practicing life coach, here to share with you why together is sometimes better. Hopefully by now you're familiar with the SMART goal acronym. It stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. But just knowing the acronym isn't enough. If it were, we'd all be experts at goal setting, and we are, right? And no, we're not. Of course, we're not. So let's go over some of the mistakes we make when we're setting goals and what is actually better than those mistakes. So, a first very common mistake is that when you set a specific goal, it's not actually specific enough. So, for example, improve yearly sales. Well, that's a great objective, but that's actually a terrible goal. So, what's better? Increase sales by 15% this year. But is that the total number of sales, or is that the total revenue of all sales? And then what's this year? Are we talking about a calendar year? Are we talking about the fiscal year? Or are we talking about the past rolling 4 quarters? If you aren't specific, your metric won't make sense. So that brings us to mistake number 2. You don't understand your performance measure. You have too many, or it's some really complicated index, or maybe it's just full of technical jargon. If you need to measure customer retention, then don't waste your time measuring abandoned cart redemption. You don't need a fancy index or any sort of logic trail to justify your measure. Just measure repeat customers. And you'd probably rather hear the ratio of repeat to new customers than something like a proportionate cross comparison of external and clientele frequency. Keep it simple. Now, before I move on, please don't misquote me and say that I said there was a specific measure that's not important. Actually, they all can be, and it's important just to understand what objective they actually support so that you can meet your organization's intent. It doesn't matter what you measure if you measure the wrong thing, so measure the right thing. A third common mistake is that your performance objective is arbitrary. So going back to my example of sales, why 15%? Maybe the market's saturated and that number isn't achievable. Or maybe the average sales growth in your industry is only 2 to 3%, so 5% is exceptional. The 15% is not going to happen. It's not terribly realistic. So you need to have a good understanding of not only where you are in absolute positioning, but also where you are relative to your competitors and what sort of growth rate can be expected. The final mistake I'll discuss for today is that even if you avoid all of the above pitfalls, but you add a deadline that's too ambitious, you still fail. It was achievable, and then it wasn't. So I'll use a personal goal as an example this time. You want to lose 10 pounds in 6 months. That's a pretty doable goal for many people. If you were to change that to 3 months, it'd still be doable, but it'd be much more ambitious, but still generally safe. But what if you change that to 10 pounds in 1 month? Well, not only is that unsafe, but it's such an aggressive goal that you'll probably end up disillusioned and frustrated. Bad goals result in frustration and burnout. Don't burn yourself out on bad goals. There is such a thing as a goal that's too ambitious. Fortunately, you don't have to settle for bad goals. There are a couple ways to get better at setting them. One method is to download a template and practice. I know that sounds hokey, but you don't have to be committed to these goals. You're literally just practicing the format. In your industry, outside of your industry, learn to recognize a good goal versus a bad goal. And you can walk through them step by step, which helps, but you can also have someone you trust to look through them yourself. Just practice, get the muscle memory down from setting goals. Another thing that can help is your project management skill set. Now, learning time management, organization, and accountability tools will help you set goals, and they'll help you with those goals for yourself or your team. They'll help keep you on track. A project management software can actually help automate those mathematical components and the time tracking elements of goals, so you can focus more on the elements, for example, such as relevancy, part of the goal that aligns with your strategic focus. So automate what you can. But last but not least, schools are not static. Yes, you can change them. Never stop learning. Thank you for so much to watching. Have a happy Veterans Day. And if you'd like to see more, please hit the like button. Be kind to yourself and good to others. Bye.